JoshCast, dun 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 dun. Oh, it's the podcast that just won't die. Dun 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 dun. Oh, assassins have tried to destroy this podcast. Dun 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 dun. Oh, but they just keep missing the target. Dun 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 dun. Oh, somebody really should shut me down. Dun 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 dun. JoshCast, dun 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 dun. JoshCast, dun 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 dun. All right, welcome to JoshCast, episode number 52, which means one of two possibilities. Possibility number one, I've been doing this podcast once a week for a year. Possibility number two, I accidentally lost count and I've only done 51, so it will be a year next year. I'll let you decide which of those is true. Transition. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, I have been in therapy 4 times. That's important to know. I'm also a comedian, and I use that in the loosest possible term. I don't know at what point. I don't feel comfortable saying I'm a comedian until I'm totally making money at it. But then I've been told by people, no, you have to, if you want to be a comedian, you have to say you're a comedian. You have to say it now. And when you say it now, it will be so. And the only person who doesn't agree with that is the Internal Revenue Service, who says, no, you're a promotions director. But one of the things that I have to do, but my favorite thing is actually to, is writing the jokes. That process of coming up with something out of nothing. And usually I'll do my writing in the morning, and I'll write a bunch of what I think are jokes, or at least what I tell myself are jokes. And then I go try them on stage, and I learn very quickly, some of these, in fact, are not jokes. And I inform the audience right there, guys, guess what? Guess what's not a joke? Everything you just heard. And so what I actually wanted to try on this podcast, because I'm in an odd situation where I'm not at a coffee shop writing. I'm kind of in the car having to wait for something else. So I thought, well, what if I tried to generate material on the podcast and lose the -5 listeners I already have? Let's try that. So as I'm first concept number one, I'm watching a plane take off right in front of me. Not right in front of me. I'm not parked on the runway of an airport. I'm not having a Harrison Ford moment. But I'm seeing a plane take off nearby. And it just takes me to the world of airline travel, which is I don't want to write about airline travel necessarily, because I feel like that's airplane food. Am I right, ladies? That's been done. But how do I find a personal connection to that, to airline travel? I'm terrified of death, I think, and the airlines don't help with that. They do their best. They try not to let us die, and good for them. They try hard. Could they try harder? Probably. I don't like, something? I've never been on a plane where I've looked at the upholstery on the plane and they went far and beyond. The upholstery on an airplane is always 10 years behind the present day. Because right now the planes have upholstery that would be appropriate. Maybe in the late 90s. I have a feeling there's at least one plane in every fleet that still has pastels on it. It's always strange. I don't mind cloth though. I mean, I'm not asking for leather. I don't particularly find leather seats comfortable. I don't understand the appeal of leather. I did for a long time. That was a status symbol. Ooh, the car has all leather interior. I like cloth. I like that. I like that soft carpet feeling that makes me feel like I'm at a community center. I enjoy that. Call me bourgeois, but I enjoy that. I was thinking about how I would never want to. I was thinking if I get fabulously wealthy, that at this point in my life, I don't think I would want a big expensive car. I would want to keep driving the same cars I'm driving now. I have one car. I don't have several cars. I would just want to keep driving. I think I'd keep driving Hondas. I just don't. I mean, like the sports cars seem unsafe to me. They very unsafe. They're very low to the ground. I don't like. I'm not a big person. I feel weird when I am taller than the vehicle. That am I technically, well, now that I think of it, technically I am taller than the Honda, but not much. I feel like I tower over a Ferrari, and I don't like that feeling when I'm inside of it. I don't like that go-kart feeling. I want to know, for instance, if I'm driving down the road and I'm about to be attacked, that I can drive off-road and the axle won't break. These are the fears I have. I want a car that can handle a little bit of off-roading, just in case the Libyan terrorists finally get to me, because my hair kind of looks like Doc Brown's. There. Have we come to a joke yet? I'm not sure. Transition. Just listening to an interview with an opera singer, a teenage opera singer. She's in high school, talking about opera and finding the emotions of opera and being able to convey the emotions of opera in a compelling way. And I feel so horrible because the one opera I ever saw, oh my God. Oh, it was. They had subtitles so we could understand what the opera singers were singing. And I swear to you, the subtitle would read, "Yeah, sure, whatever you want, ... And the singer would sing that for 10 minutes. It would take them 10 minutes to go, "Would you like more coffee?" That's what it felt like. And I don't want to disparage all these people who work so hard on opera. I don't. I know people work so hard on opera. They work so hard, and they're so talented. And I'm sitting there in the audience. I'm in middle school. They put me. I'm a middle school kid watching an opera. That violates the Geneva Convention, as far as I'm concerned. A middle school kid watching opera is in the middle of the day. Oh, here's what you need to do with a middle school child. You need to lock them in a room, padded, with just objects. Doesn't matter even what. It could be anything, and just let them. You got to let them deal with it for 5 years. That's really what you need to do. That is exactly what you need to do. You need to treat middle school kids the way you treat a guy who is a werewolf on the night of the full moon. You lock him in. You have to lock him in a cell and just, cry quietly while he screams and cries. That is how you handle middle school kids. You do not take them to an opera. Do not do that. Or maybe anyone else. No, that's mean. Now I'm being mean. I guess because I was a theater major, and I remembered really being into a lot of plays that if I were an audience member, I would go, I'll take the opera at this point. So I understand the joys of performing some of these plays. It's difficult for me, but then again, I don't like watching anything anymore. I'm a doer. I'm not a watcher. I'm a doer. I get out there and I do. I get out there and I do it. I don't just do it. I do it without the, because doing it takes a lot. So to say I just do it that's a little casual. I just do it. No, I do it. I do it, and it takes a toll. But I don't like watching. I don't like watching stuff anymore. The only thing, I like watching stuff that I never would want to deal with. I think it's part of the reason why I like watching the big epic sci-fi movies. I'm not sure that I would want to actually sit there for a year and make the movie. I would much more rather play a small 5-minute role in the movie and then make fun of the movie on stage. I think that, that's what I call a life. Transition. transition. Now I'm just singing transition to stall. Because when I want to, see, this is what I find with comedy. When I want to sit down and be funny, not funny. When horrible things happen to me, and then I just describe those horrible things to other people, people go, that's hysterical. Comedian shows up at the club. I work at Flappers Comedy Club and Restaurant. For those of you who care, for the -5 people who care. Comedian shows up, parks in our headliner parking spot, gets out, and is walking into the club. And right as he gets out, these cleaning crew guys come up, and they're like, this cleaning crew guy is like, he has to move his car. We're cleaning the spaces. He has to move his car. We're cleaning the spaces. And I said, well, I think he's only going to be 10 minutes. He said, all right, well, we'd hate to get his car dirty. We would hate to get his car dirty, which I don't know if he was trying to be nice or if he was coming off as a threat. I assume when all people talk to me, they're threatening me. Everything, even people who love me, I assume somewhere there's a threat under there. I love you is, I love you provided you continue not being a nuisance. So I got freaked out. And then 10 minutes go by, the comedian's still in the club. I summon the night manager of the club, and we walk over to these guys. And I say, he's going to be here till midnight. And the guy's saying, no, he's got to move his car. And I'm saying, no, he can't do that. And the other guy said, well, okay, we're not going to clean the spaces. We're not going to clean the spaces then. And, don't get mad at us. And we're like, oh, okay. We start to walk away. And then the guy shouts out, hey, what's your name? And I said, Josh. And the situation had already been resolved, but for some reason I continued to escalate it. I guess that I was misdirecting. I was already stressed out, and I think I was misdirecting anger, and it culminated into me saying, because they were saying, oh, we sent an email to all the businesses about this. And I was like, we never got an email. I was like, we never got an email. You can't tell us to move this car. This is unacceptable. And I shouted it, and I made a hand gesture of like a dismissive no. And everyone paused for a second. And the one guy said, you can't talk to me like that. And then the manager who was standing next to me looks at the other cleaner, and the other cleaner was like, we just won't clean the spot. And the manager said, okay. And it was settled, and we walked away. As soon as I immediately felt guilty, naturally, That's my go-to. And I did go and apologize to the guy later. And now everyone in the club is saying, this is unacceptable when I walk by. So that's what happened. My goal was to be powerful in the situation, to find dominance. And what I found was only ridicule from all parties involved. No one found me threatening whatsoever. No one found me threatening. I was the least threatening person. I'm not, I don't have a lot of confidence coming out of this that I can protect anyone from anything at any point, or that I can stand up for anything. I really am the sidekick. Like I am life's sidekick. That is exactly what I am. I don't even think this is my idea or my joke, but you've heard it said that people are the heroes of their own story. I am the minor supporting character of my own story. That is where I'm at in this. I don't know who's the lead in my life. That's how small of a role I play. I don't even think I've met the lead in my own life. I think I've seen the lead driving by, probably in a sports car that terrifies me. Transition. So there's a comedian who's also a psychic who told me that there's something's going to happen this year. Something's going to take off, and she said it might be a podcast. And I'm beginning to wonder if is it this podcast that's going to take off. Now here's the thing. Near as I can tell, at best, I've had 3 people listen to it. So technically, If 5 people listen to this podcast, it will have taken off. Purely speaking from statistics, 5 people means it took off. Five people means that it's like become a ratings powerhouse when compared to, nothing else. So that could be. This could be the year. This could be the year that this podcast truly explodes. I record it in the car on my phone. I don't have sophisticated technology because I don't want to deal with it. And I'm sure I'm probably violating many podcast rules. I'm sure people are listening to it on, the -5 people who are listening to it are going, the sound is just pathetic. I mean, it sounds like he's recording it on a voice memo on his phone. I am! Aha! I am! And why? I wish I had maybe the problem, here's the problem with this podcast right now. There's no altruistic reason. There are people out there who are doing podcasts because they're trying to make the world a better place, and they genuinely believe that. I'm going to use this podcast to spread the message about environmentalism. I'm going to use this podcast to spread the message about how we need universal health care. I am doing this podcast because I want you to like me. I want you to think that I am funny and witty and clever. And eventually buy my merchandise. That is why it's in some ways a very American reason for doing a podcast. But in many other ways, it's really signaling the end of our civilization as we know it, I believe, and perhaps the end of my own life. I don't mean that I'm going to. I'm not. That wasn't a cry for help. I'm not. It's not a suicidal thing, and nor am I making fun of people who have those thoughts. I've definitely been there. I'm just saying, I'll still be alive. It's just, can we call it a life? I'm not sure. When I'm at 8:56 a.m. on a Saturday, recording a podcast in my car, while many other people right now are making love. That's something I always remind myself. There are people right now making love. And there are men right now who are making love, and there are women right now who are making an effort to enjoy it. This is the end of the podcast, the end of the podcast. And the children sing and the children play. This is the end of the podcast.